Hello, welcome back. In this section, we're going to follow a step-by-step drawing like this one. You can find it attached as a downloadable template in the resources section of this course. If you do not enjoy drawing, you're welcome to simply trace the final image and skip to the next section so you can begin painting right away. I recommend that you keep your image to 8 inches, 20 centimeters, or larger. So I want to give you a tip. I prefer to complete my drawing on tracing paper. Then I use a light box to more easily trace my image onto my watercolor paper. I like to do it on tracing paper first because this allows me to draw more freely and make mistakes, no problem. I can erase them, I can correct them. And then once I'm ready, I can center the image on my watercolor paper. Watercolor paper can be damaged if you are constantly erasing it. The fibers are quite fragile. If you don't have a light box, but you do have a tablet, you can effectively turn the tablet into a light box with a downloadable app. Another tip I have for you is draw lightly because we're going to have some guidelines to erase. I will be trying to draw a little bit darker so you can actually see the image on my paper, but you should draw more lightly. All right, let's get going. So we're going to start with a narrow ellipse near the top, and I like to give it a little bit of an angle. This adds more interest rather than centering it completely on the page. So tulip has a cup shape, and when you view it from the side, you see the ellipse. If you were to view it from above, you see down into the cone. If you view it from further, you don't see inside. So the image that we're going to draw has a little bit of an angle to it, and that's why you can see the ellipse. When the light source is coming from this direction, as ours will, you can see that the light is hitting in here and less so outside here. That will be important later on when we're discussing which sections to add more light and which sections to add more shadow. Now we're going to draw the cup shape. And I'm making mine roughly as wide as it is tall. Let's make that a little darker so you can see it. And this is one of the lines that's going to be erased later, so you'll want to keep yours a little bit lighter. Next, what we're going to do is work on the petals, and I just want to discuss petals for a moment. So within a tulip, if you stretched the petal out, if you removed it from the tulip as I did here, and you stretch it out, what you'll probably find is there are a couple of bumps near the top, and we're exaggerating those in our drawing. And there's also a rib that goes down the center here, and you can choose to add those or not. If you're drawing the petal, you'll notice it's quite wide all the way along. But what we're going to be doing is making our petals as though they're seen from the side. So we'll see the bumps on the top, and we'll see this nice curve here, and this curve will follow along. So it'll be as though it's along our cup shape like this. So let me show you what that looks like. I like to start, and our two first petals will follow this cup shape. It can overlap a little bit, but we're going to keep the outside petals along this curve, and then the back petals will be along this curve here. So I like to start with a bit of a bump, and then the second bump, and then I come along and I make a nice big curve here. This shape roughly follows the outside of this cup, but I can give it cut in just a little bit for more interest. And it comes around, roughly following the shape again of the cup. I like to do a little bit of an overlap. That is in line with this line up here, and that's where our rib is going to fall. Then I just follow along the curve and I give a little bit of a scoop, and that connects the bottom of the petal to the top. On the other side, we're going to just replicate the same shape but in reverse so that they're symmetrical. Give 2 little bumps up here, come along and cut into that side just a little bit, nice big curve here, and then cut along here. So what we've done is finished this step. Next, what we do is we just join these 2 petals. We're putting one more in between them, and there's an M shape, a curved M shape up here, and it just connects to these 2 petals. So all of a sudden now we've got 3 petals on the go. The back petals are going to mimic the top shapes of what we've already drawn. So remember, it's curved, so you won't see it flat like this. We'll see a side view. But even in the side view, I like to draw the bumps. And I'm going to come and connect it to the part of the M that we just drew, and just connect that last little bit there. As we did for the front petals, now we just mimic a little M shape here, connect that in, and bring it down and connect it here. And finally, another nice M curve, and connect that to the sides. So now we're finished the bulk of the tulip shape. There's a little bit of a bump where or another cup shape where the tulip meets the stem. Now we're onto this section. I like to give my stems a nice curve, and they're quite parallel as they come up. I got a nice petal coming out from behind, a leaf. And what you should notice for the leaves of our tulips is they're quite wide at the bottom, and they get thinner and taper as they come to the top, but they're not really a straight line. There's lots of curviness to them. So you're welcome to put as many curves, S-curves, into your tulip shape as you want into the leaves. I'm going to do when I really like when they overlap. So I'm doing a bit of a C shape here, and then I'm turning it into an S shape with a nice little curl on it. Come down to the bottom. This time I'm gonna draw my stem inside this petal, as though it's inside this petal. And I think of the concept of thick and thin. So you want sections of this leaf to be thick, and it tapers and gets quite thin with some nice natural curves in it. Then what we'll do is draw a bottom edge to this. I've got a nice curve here, a little bit of a wave, and I come out and join up with the tip. On the other side, we'll place something a little simpler. It's also beginning with an S curve, a nice loose S curve. I've got a thick at the bottom, and it's going to taper as I go up. And then I'll just give it an underside to add another fold into that. And then there you are. There's our drawing. which matches pretty closely to the template that I've provided you. I hope you enjoyed this drawing, and remember, you can always send me photos and ask me questions in the chat sections of this course. I'll see you in the next section where we're going to discuss color temperature, the color red, and the importance of underpaintings. See you then.